Okay, so we've got a lovely restorative class today. We're going to start seated. So if you prefer to sit on a bolster, then feel free to sit on a bolster. If you prefer to sit cross-legged, then feel free to sit cross-legged, wherever your comfy seat is. And just take a moment to get yourself really comfortable, lifting the spine up nice and tall. So we still honour the natural curves of the spine, but we reach our head up towards the ceiling whilst our sit bones really ground down on whatever is beneath us. And then gently close your eyes. Let your hands be somewhere comfortable in your lap or maybe on your knees. Roll the shoulders down the back just to release them away from the ears. And then take the awareness to the breath. Not trying to change it in any way. Just simply noticing what your breath's up to right in this moment. Noticing the length of the breath. Noticing how deep the breath travels into your body. Noticing how far the breath makes your body expand. Simply noticing the character of your unique breath. Having a little check-in with how you're feeling. Whether there's any areas of tension in the body, areas where you feel loosey-goosey. Just having a mindful moment of where we're at as we sit here on our mats. And then fluttering the eyes open, we'll just do a few rounds of block breath before we move into our first restorative pose. So you can either do this with your arms in your lap or your hands in your lap, or you can move your arms like I'm going to show to you. So exhale out any breath you have in the body, and then inhale the arms to the front. Hold the breath in with the hands above the head. Exhale the arms out to the sides, and hold the breath out as your hands rest in your lap. So in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, in, hold, out, hold, in, hold, out, hold, in, hold, out, hold, in, hold, out, hold. Excellent. Then just allow the breath to come back to normal. So the first one we're going to do is actually legs up the wall. So you can do this on a bolster or you can do this on a block, whichever you have to hand. Equally, you can just do it up against the wall without anything beneath your hips at all. So legs up the wall is essentially laying on your back with your feet straight up an imaginary wall. You can shuffle yourself towards the wall and be legs up the wall as well. For the restorative pose, bring your feet to the floor, lift up the hips, put a bolster behind your hips, and then let your legs go up the wall. Now in this pose, you can have your legs straight together. If it feels more comfortable on your hips, you can let your feet fall out to the sides. Either way, hands can be on your lower belly or your hip bones, or down to the sides of the bolster, whichever you feel most comfortable with. So get yourself really, really comfortable. If you're using a block, use the block on its flat side so it gives you maximum support behind your pelvis. And then just get really comfortable and really relaxed. I'm going to stay in this pose for a little while. So you want to be really, really comfy. And then once you've got into your pose, then take your awareness back to your breath. And whilst we're laid in this pose, we're not going to control the breath in terms of counting, but try to make the inhale and the exhale as smooth as possible. So as you inhale really evenly. So the strength of the inhale is as strong when you start as when you finish. And then make the exhale just as smooth. So the force of the exhale is just as strong when you start the exhale as to when you finish the exhale. Just really concentrating on long, smooth breaths. Keep that focus on the long, smooth inhales and long, smooth exhales. Allowing the weight of the legs to press the back of the pelvis into the bolster or the block or the floor beneath you. Allowing the shoulders and the neck to be completely relaxed as you lay here, with the weight of your head fully supported by the mat beneath you. And then wherever you've wandered off to, or maybe you're still super focused on your breath, I'm going to start to think about moving out of this pose. Because we hold the poses in restorative yoga for longer, we do this really slowly and really mindfully. So if you did allow your legs to fall out open to the sides, just use your hands on your outer thighs to help press those legs back together again. And then when we all have our heels and our knees back together, gently drop the feet down towards the hips and then take those feet all the way down to the mat. Gently pressing into the ground with the feet, lift up the hips, and if you were using a block or a bolster, move it out the way and then roll your spine back down onto the mat. Take your feet as wide as your yoga mat and just windscreen wiper the legs from side to side. Taking one knee down into the centre and then rolling the legs the other way to take the other knee down. Windscreen wipering the knees from one side to the other side. And then when you've windscreen wiped the knees equally, just roll over onto your side and use your hands to press yourself back up to seated. And we'll move into a forward bend. So for this one, ideally you want your hips on the mat or your sit bones on the mat and your feet together in front of you, soles of the feet together. If that's really uncomfortable for you, you can place a block or a cushion underneath the hips. For this one, we kind of want 2 hands length space between the pelvis and the back of the heels, so you've got plenty of room. We start by sitting up nice and tall and leaning forward in the hips as much as we can. So we're really pivoting from the hips to begin with. And then when we can't go any further, allow the back to roll and allow the head to be heavy. Now hands can hold onto the feet or the ankles, or if you want to thread the arms underneath the legs, palms down onto the mat, then you can do that too. Now as we're here, think about really sending the breath down the back. As you exhale, just see if you can relax into the pose a little more. So inhale, send that breath all the way down the spine. And as you exhale, see if you can relax and release the spine any further. And quite often with these poses, the longer we sit in them, the deeper our body allows us to go. So just concentrate on the breath, watching it come in and out of the body. Really allowing that head to be heavy, relaxing any tension in the neck and the shoulders. Really feel the rounding of the spine from the head all the way down to your sit bones. Feel that the breath is a little bit restricted in this pose. So really send the breath into the back of the lungs to maximise the air you can still get in. A couple more breaths here. And then lifting the head, bring your hands to the center of the diamond that you're making with your legs and help them, use them even to help you roll your back up to seated, with the head coming up last. And then use your hands on the outside of the knees to squeeze the legs back together again, take them out long, and just have a little wiggle of the legs up and down. Okay, next one's a twist, and I'm going to give you some options here depending on what you're up to. So, if you're a big fan of the bolster and you have a bolster to hand, we can do a forward a twist that's face down. So we sit on one hip with the knees out to the side, turn your body over the bolster and aim for the centre of the chest to land on the bolster. And if you want to twist your head too, then turn your head to the other side and completely relax down the bolster. If you'd rather have a twist where you're laid on your back, we can still use the bolster or a block or a cushion. Coming onto your back, take one leg out long, same side that you've got the bolster, and then the top leg, the other leg bends in towards the tummy and rolls over, landing on the bolster. So we have the one leg out long, the one closest to the bolster, and the one furthest away rolls over and then is supported by the bolster. So whether you're on your back or whether you're on your tummy, it's entirely up to you. But try and focus on really relaxing into the posture. Really enjoying the support that the bolster gives you. And obviously if you don't have a bolster, you can do both these twists without. You can just allow that knee to come down onto the floor. It's just a bit of a deeper twist if you're on your back. And if you're on your front, you can still do the pose with your knees out to the side, coming down onto the mat, maybe having your hands, one hand on top of the other, so you've got somewhere to rest your cheek in your twist. The bolster just makes it a little bit more luxurious. So whichever one you're in, really let your body be heavy on the mat. Really let yourself be supported by the bolster. If you feel like any part of your body is gripping or trying to hold on, give that muscle a little squeeze. And then as you exhale, release that squeeze and release that grip. Both these options always play with where your head placement is to make the neck the most comfortable it can be. If you don't feel like twisting your head today, then don't twist it, let it be neutral. If the twist feels good, then do the twist. And then on your next breath, think about moving. Maybe just moving the head to start with. And again, because we've laid here a little bit longer, really take your time in coming out of the twist. If you're on your back, maybe use your hand to take the weight of your leg as you then roll the hips back onto the mat. If you're on your front, then use your hands either side of the bolster to push yourself back up to seated. And then we'll move to the other side. So again, if you are on your back, move the bolster to the other side. The leg closest to the bolster stays out long, and then you twist the other leg over and on top of the bolster. If you prefer to do the face down version, then the bolster comes near your hip. Twist yourself around, hands either side of the bolster, and aim for the center of the chest to hit the bolster. And then you can either rest your chin on the bolster, or you can twist your head and look away. And then whichever version you are in, let your body be really heavy. If you're face down, really make sure that those shoulders are nice and relaxed. The arms are nice and relaxed. Find a really comfortable position. Fiddle around a little bit if you need to until you find that comfortable position. One side might be more comfortable than the other. And then let yourself be really heavy. Again, seek out any of those tight spots or anywhere you feel you're gripping. And as you inhale, give those areas a little squeeze. And as you exhale, just try and release them off a little. And then just go back to focusing on the breath. Watching it come and go as you stay here. Nice and heavy and relaxed on your mat. Making sure the neck is really comfortable. Letting the breath come and go freely. And then gently start to think about moving. Maybe just starting with lifting the head or bringing it back to center. If you're on your back, then rolling the hips back down onto the mat, maybe using your hand to support the upper leg. If you're on your front, then use the hands either side of the bolster to gradually push yourself back up to seated. And then wherever you're at, move the bolster or the box out the way. We'll just do a quick lateral stretch before we move into final Savasana. So coming down onto your backs, legs out long, arms up above the head. Shuffle your shoulders and your arms over to the left, and then shuffle your feet and your legs over to the left, really grounding down through the right hip. So everything stays on the mat as though you're being completely squashed down by a pane of glass. Stretching from the end of the little finger on the right hand all the way to the little toe on the right foot. Full body stretch down the whole side of the body. Take 6 really deep breaths here. Really sending the breath into the ribs and the side on the right. Once you've done your 6 breaths, shuffle your feet back to center. Shuffle your shoulders and your arms back to center and really lengthen from the tips of your fingers to the tips of your toes. And then shuffle the shoulders and the arms over to the right and shuffle the feet and the legs over to the right. Really keeping the left hip down on this side as though you're being pressed down on the mat by a pane of glass. Really stretching from the tip of the little finger on the left side, all the way down the left side of the body to the left little toe. And then take 6 deep breaths here. And then think about moving, shuffling the head and the shoulders back to the centre of the mat, shuffling the feet back to the centre of the mat so we're nice and long. And then we'll come into final Savasana. If you have a bolster to hand and you want to use it, then a couple of options here. You can put the bolster underneath your knees for a really restorative Savasana that really supports the lower back. Or you can do a completely restorative fish by bringing the bolster to the back of the pelvis, legs go out long, and then roll yourself back down over the bolster and let the arms come down by your sides. Whichever you've chosen, let your body be really heavy. Relax the shoulders. Tucking the shoulder blades underneath the torso. Really noticing how the muscles feel between the shoulder blades, an area of the body we're really paying attention to. Let the arms be relaxed down by the sides, whether they're palm up or palm down, whichever feels most comfortable for you. Let the feet roll out to the sides and let the legs be completely relaxed. And then go back once more to focusing on the breath. 6 long, even, smooth breaths. And you can stay here as long as you like, unless you have things to do this afternoon. But if you need to move, if you're in restorative fish and you're laid on your bolster, then just roll off to the side. If you have the bolster underneath the backs of your knees, then equally you can just roll off to the side. And then very, very slowly and luxuriously, with no hurry whatsoever, make your way up to seated. And would you believe it, half an hour has passed already without us even realising. Thank you for joining me on the mat this lunchtime. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did.